To your point, Pitt has the #1 scoring offense in the nation. They're 3rd in the nation in total offense, so they've definitely got those things going for them, and I think you're right. They have to start fast. That's what Pat Narduzzi wants to do. He talked about that yesterday during his last press conference. He wants to start quickly, try to get out to a big lead, and when you do that, and you and I have talked about this in weeks past, if you can get that 2-possession lead, now the other team's got to chase you. Your defense gets more aggressive. Your offense can get more comfortable trying to run the football, trying to wear the other team down. So by the time it gets to the fourth quarter, they really don't feel like touching you, and your defense by then is just pinning their ears back and making it harder to do. And if there's a time for this offense to really show what they're capable of, I think this game tomorrow is the first good test.
No, absolutely. I mean, again, the offense is really, really good. And, you know, I think Kenny Pickett's a veteran quarterback, so going on the road shouldn't be an issue. You know, he should be able to go down there and put all the, you know, the noise and the, you know, the Metallica song and all the other stuff that goes on down there at Virginia Tech. Put it all out of your mind and out of your misery, you know, and just go out and play your game. I think, again, he's got 3 really good receivers. You know, I think him working for another year with Mark Whipple, it's really paid off because he seems to know the offense really well. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know, you know, what to say other than Pitt needs to just go down there and win. Just go win the game. It's not, I mean, I know it sounds too simple, but when you're the better team, if you go play your game and play as well as you can play, you win.
Yeah, I think it means quite a bit, especially when you're talking about inner Sandman. But when you can come in and actually, you always hear the old analysts talk about imposing their will on the other team from a physical standpoint. In this particular case, it's hard to imagine Pitt coming in with this offense with Kenny Pickett, who's getting another chance at it. And I think one of the reasons he explained why he came back was another chance to work with Mark Whipple. So when you're really, really in tune with this offense and you're as comfortable in it as Kenny Pickett is, and you have another year with Mark Whipple, it all seems like it's adding up at the same time. I think we got Jarrett back on the line in Wexford. Jarrett, you're on the Nightly Sports Call. You there, Jarrett? I guess we don't have Jarrett. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's try Ryan and Shayla. Ryan, you're on the Nightly Sports Call. You there, Ryan? I guess we're having some issues with the phones. I got to apologize. We're having problems with the phones here. So if you can, shoot us a tweet at Josh Taylor HD. I can answer you over there on Twitter because it seems like we're having issues with the phones. All right, let's shift over to another subject until we can get the phones working again. I mentioned this earlier in the last segment. Penguins and Blackhawks tomorrow night. They go on the road in Florida for their first couple games. They win the first game in Tampa. They lose in overtime in Sunrise against the Panthers, a game that they probably, by all measures, probably should have won, but they come away with 1 point. So 3 out of a possible 4. Now Chicago goes to town tomorrow, and Marc-Andre Fleury comes with them, which I think is rather convenient. It's the past couple of seasons we've heard so much about the goaltending situation with this team, and then we see what Marc-Andre Fleury is doing in Vegas, and we see him go to a Stanley Cup final even though they fall short. There was just so many different things happening at the same time. Having the benefit of hindsight, Paul, how do you look at Marc-Andre Fleury's legacy as a Penguin now, with a couple years removed from the time when he left?
Well, I mean, I think it's been intact. I mean, I think he was one of the most important players on that team when they won the, you know, even the year that he was replaced by Matt Murray. I just feel like he's a locker room guy who, you know, has always been a great teammate. He was a great player. I mean, I think if you look at his stats and how they stack up historically, and I'm talking about wins and things of the such, he stacks up pretty good against, you know, the great goalies of all time. I mean, to me, he had a great career here. And, you know, benefit of hindsight, they should have traded Matt Murray, got a king's ransom for him because he was like 21 years old, and kept Marc-Andre Fleury. It didn't happen, so there's no reason to continue to talk about it. But I think people that are Penguins fans should feel good about the career that Marc-Andre Fleury had. And hopefully every time he comes back to play in one of these games, they cheer him the way they're supposed to. Obviously, you don't want him to beat the Penguins, but you want him to do well.
Yeah, I'm expecting the welcome back video and, you know, the whole pomp and circumstance. I want to say it's for during that first big stop in the game in the first period. I'm waiting for that tribute video and the ovation from the fans, and I'm sure that'll be a decent moment. Of course, the last time he made that visit, that very first visit back with the opposing team, they had the video, they had the tribute. He admitted getting a little bit emotional during that time period, and rightfully so. I think we'll look back at Marc-Andre Fleury as a guy who, like you mentioned, was a really good team guy. He was beloved by the guys in the locker room, was a part of a couple different championship teams. Also, by the way, found a way to still carve his niche after he left Pittsburgh and started doing some things on an individual level as well, and raised another team which had literally started from nothing and raised that team to a championship standard. So that's a really, really solid legacy as far as I'm concerned. Got a question on Twitter from Jared. He says, do you think the Steelers will make a move at the deadline to replace Juju, or do you think Deontay Johnson can fill the role of the number one wide receiver on this team?
I didn't hear the last part of it because I got a speaker right here blasting KDKA AM in my ear. So could you repeat the question again, please?
Do you think the Steelers will try to replace Juju at the deadline, or do you think Deontay can fill the role as the number one wide receiver?
No, I doubt they'll replace him at the trade deadline. Maybe they'll pick up somebody, you know, a waiver wire guy or just a depth guy, add him to the practice squad to have him, you know, there. But, I mean, I think they like their receivers. You know, with James Washington, you've got Deontay Johnson, you got Chase Claypool. You've got three pretty good receivers. And I think that, you know, anybody else is going to be a depth guy. You know, they're not going to go out and make some blockbuster deal to go get somebody who really is going to break into that top three. And you know what? Ben said it the other day. Got to use Pat Freiermuth more. And, you know, I mean, obviously you hope that he catches it once in a while, but you got to use Eric Ebron more. I mean, so you've got other options. And you know what? Najee Harris is getting, I think he's, you know, finally starting to settle into his role out of the backfield. So, you know, as much as it's a, you know, sad thing that Juju got hurt, and I know he's a fan favorite and all that other stuff, I don't know if it really changes their football team all that much.
Good point. I can't argue with any of it. We'll wrap up when we come back. Stick around.